Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Reframeable podcast, a podcast that brings you people's stories and ideas about how we can work to reframe our relationship, not just with alcohol, but with stress, anxiety, relationships, enjoyment, and so much more. Because changing our relationship with alcohol is about so much more than changing the contents of our glass. This podcast is brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. My name is Kevin Bellack. I am a certified professional recovery coach and the head of coaching at the Reframe app.
And I'm Emma Simmons. I'm a reframer, a certified life coach, and a thrive coach with Reframe from New Zealand. Hey, Kev.
Hey, how are you doing?
I am well. We are wrapping up summer, which is sad. I'm trying to make the most of the sunshine when it comes because we're heading into a long, wet, cold. Although I say cold, and I know it's not as cold as what you guys get. Cold for me is like 5 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but 5 degrees Celsius is
I know.
not comfortable for me. We do this every week.
Every week we do this, and I'm like, shit, I should have that up. It's 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's chilly. It's not cold, in my opinion.
Yeah,
a lot of people would say it's cold.
Yeah, I need extra layers on.
Yeah,
I'll put thermals on. Yeah, I like my thermals.
Yeah.
So yeah, heading into sort of, I don't know, hibernation season, really. Like the fun summer activities are winding up, and yeah, but autumn and spring are my favorite seasons, like that. There's this, when the sun in autumn, like when the sun's starting to get further away from the earth, and it's almost got like a lazy feel to it. I kind of like that sun. Like sun in the middle of summer, it's like hot and it's energy and go. But when you're heading into autumn, it's okay, time to relax and retreat, withdraw a little bit. And like that sun, it's a little bit lazier. So yeah, I don't know, I guess I have mixed feelings about the coldness. I don't like how cold it is in the morning at 5 a.m. when I go to the gym. Because I used to just be able to run outside in my exercise gear and get in the car and go. But now I'm just getting to the point where I'm going to need a jumper. Not a jumper, a sweater.
A sweater. It's so funny because my wife and I were just talking about this yesterday. Yeah. I don't know why she brought it up. I think it was she was watching some show and they were talking about it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I already had a whole conversation with them on this. Yeah, a hoodie. Yeah, and this is the time of year here that we're still in winter, technically heading into spring. And it just so happens that today I'm in Ohio, and I think it was I have the feels like weather on my lock screen on my phone. I don't care about like what the actual temperature, like whatever the temperature they give. I want to know what it feels like. So this week, I think it felt like 25 a couple of days ago, maybe 2 days ago, 3 days ago. And it feels
25
like
Fahrenheit,
which is -4 Celsius. I just looked it up. And today it actually feels like 74, which is 23 Fahrenheit Celsius. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm guessing that's going to be fairly short-lived, but we shall see.
That's such a huge swing in temperatures.
Oh, yeah. That's how it is all the time. Like this time of year and in the fall, it can go just back and forth. It can be snowing one day and the next. It's crazy.
Wow.
So
yeah, it like -4 or 5 would be as cold as it gets in New Zealand. Yeah. Might maybe get a little bit colder way down south, down by Antarctica, but it's not. Yeah, we don't have cold like you guys do.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Another reason for Emma not to move to America.
Okay. It's a little bit. I haven't looked at a map to see the size of New Zealand compared to here, but
it's about the size of California.
Okay, I was gonna say
roughly.
It's probably like Ohio and maybe two of the states below it lengthwise. So there's still a lot of warmer places down south. Yeah, yeah.
I won't be happy anywhere though, because if you put me down south, I'll be like, it's hot and humid and muggy, and
oh yeah,
it's too hot.
Yeah, I'm happy here. I can, because it doesn't get too hot. It does maybe in August, for me. But yeah, if we end up moving down south, I'm not going to be as happy. But whatever. I think that's what we're talking about leads well into the top, right?
Isn't that the perfect segue?
Yeah, that was not necessarily intended there. Or maybe it was. I don't know.
Clearly, my brain was just already on seasons because that's what, when you asked how I was, that's immediately where my brain went.
Yeah. So seasons of change.
So
we'll talk today. We're talking seasons of change and how that shows up, and not just obviously like the literal seasons like we were just talking about, but there's so many like times in our life that periods that can be, how would you say, classified as something specific, a period to rest, a period to grieve, a period to work or to push ourselves. And there's any word you could use there, or any type of adjective. Yeah.
Adjective, is that the right one?
What would you add? Which ones would you add to it?
I think like periods of growth. Like you can feel yourself when you're in this period of growth where you're maybe pushing yourself and stepping outside of your comfort zone, and that feels okay. Or you just, I don't know, maybe you're going through a season of being really into like self-help books or educating yourself and growing yourself. Yeah, seasons of growth are a big one. But then the opposite side of that, you've got to have balance, right? So then you need seasons of like hibernation or rest or chill, or I don't know. We call it hedgehog mode in our family, where we like curl up in a blanket and just go into hedgehog mode. And sometimes, and we need that, and your brain needs that. Your brain needs to rest. Your body needs to rest sometimes. But yeah, there are definite seasons, and it's not like the seasons in a year where there are 4 seasons in a year. Your seasons can be varying lengths and come and go, and some of them can be really freaking long and feel long.
Yeah. And
I should think of a bigger word than long.
No, but that's true. And it's not like they're defined or clear cut either. It's not okay, it's February 1st. I am in this season of growth now. I'm going to start doing this, which we can try and make that happen, but life happens, right? And then we have to sometimes roll with what season we're in because it wasn't one we chose or came out of nowhere, and that doesn't have to be a negative thing either. That can be a positive thing. Something happens, but it's that there's transitions, but there's also like today using this, like a week ago when it was 20 degrees out here, I wouldn't have, obviously I could look ahead at the weather and all that and plan for it, but I wouldn't have thought, oh, I hope it's 74 next week. But that happens sometimes, even if we're in a season of, even if our current status is hedgehog mode, we can still get an energetic period of time throughout there or whatever.
Yeah, I think you can, sometimes it might seem hard or difficult, but you can, when you're in hedgehog mode, you can look forward and be like, okay, but I know that this is coming up, or maybe this event is coming up, or maybe it is physically the season's changing. Because we are more active in summer, it's easier to get outside and do things. Although I'm sure there are people that are like, snowing's the best, skiing's the best, and I'm more active in winter. But anyway, it could be that you're looking forward to an event or something environmental to change that will help you shift out of this space that you're in.
Yeah. And and talking about this, how this shows up, I don't know if you mentioned that, but we always talk about how the journey isn't linear, right? We don't start out, and we touch on this a bit here, but we don't start out at point A and take that straight line to point B and we're done with the season and we're on to the next one and point C. It loops around. We have to backtrack. We have to keep figuring things out. We have to keep learning, especially if we're trying to force something that maybe isn't ready yet. And it's hard to understand that or see that or acknowledge that even when there is something we want to do, but just asking questions along the way about how we're feeling and what's showing up now and what do we want. There's so many variables that go into this. So there is no like right or wrong answer. I don't think it's just For me personally, it's taking it as it comes and trying to acknowledge it, especially when I'm like, no, I don't want that season. Stop it. I've tried to push it away. But sometimes when I do that, I ended up just dragging out the inevitable of, you know what, Kevin, you're going to go through that season, whether you like it or not, because you have to. And it's when that happens, it's sometimes just allowing it to be like, okay, I'm gonna feel this, whatever this is, and go through it, and then I'll continue. I can continue to work towards these other goals and things that I'm doing that I want to do as well.
Yeah. When you said journey, it made me think of like a road trip. Okay, imagine you're going on a road trip and the options are point A to point B on a highway, straight road, pretty boring. Or you take the scenic route and there's mountains and there's twists and turns and there's tunnels and there's what's more interesting? What's more, I've always been there, let's take the scenic route kind of gal. I've definitely taken the scenic route in my life in general. I haven't done the standard typical point A to point B kind of scenario. And it's more interesting, but then just like in a car trip, when you're going around some windy bends, you can get a bit car sick. It can feel pretty shit.
Yeah, car sick, stressful, I was thinking, like knowing where you're going, that type of thing. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there can be uncomfortable feelings and uncomfortable bits in it that don't feel good. But I guess you don't appreciate the beautiful bits without experiencing some of the shit bits where you go, yeah, no, I didn't like that piece. Yeah. And it's the same with our journey with alcohol. If we don't, sometimes we need to feel the shit bits to be able to really enjoy the good bits.
Sorry. Just laughing at
the words immature.
The phrase shit bits, hedgehog mode, and shit bits. That's
yes.
Those are hashtags for today, apparently.
But yeah, we're heading into, I think, something I didn't realize or I hadn't learned until I was in it was we often tend to see around 3 or 4 months a bit of sort of recovery fatigue if you head into this journey with a lot of gusto and a lot of determination often. And then we often see when people are getting to 3 to 4 months that you just get a bit tired, a bit sick of it. It's a bit like the novelty's worn off. And if you're anything like me, I was doing the daily tasks. I was doing a challenge every month on the Reframe app. I was doing all of the challenges. I was on all of the meetings, everyone I could get on. I was listening to sober podcasts. I was listening to sober audiobooks. I was reading sober quit lit books. I was doing all the things. And like my whole existence was being alcohol free. And that got pretty exhausting. But I think it took about 3 or 4 months before that got too much for me. But I didn't realize that was what I was doing. So I think we're recording this now sort of 3.5 months into the year. So there's potentially a few people out there that are started with dry January and we're rolling on. And that's awesome. And so I just think having some awareness around, okay, so we might start to get a bit over it or a bit tired or a bit, I don't know, the season might be changing for you. And it's about acknowledging it and just recognizing it and being like, okay, it's changing. The pink cloud might be wearing off. We might be coming back down into a bit of reality, but it doesn't mean it's never going to get better. It just means that the season's changing.
That goes for whether we've been, I think, successful or not too at what we're doing. It could be, oh, hey, I've been doing everything I said I'm going to do for 1, 2, 3 months, whatever, or you know what, I haven't been able to get traction. They can both be a grind or in different ways and similar ways. Yeah, I always think of I know in Atomic Habits, he references a quote that says that essentially we desire novelty so much that people who are doing well look for change just as much as people who are doing poorly. It's not the exact quote, but it's that it can get mundane. It can get boring. It can get difficult to just continuing to try and do things and that are maybe new, like we haven't done before. And okay, we were excited when we started doing it maybe, or not. But after a while, it becomes the normal. When something becomes like the normal that we just show up for and do, it can have a tendency to also get boring. And sometimes mixing it up in new ways is helpful. And just acknowledging that, though, seeing when, if you have that fatigue setting in, maybe my season of motivation needs to turn into a little bit of season of rest. And that pendulum is going to swing to the other side. And we need to find ways to work so that maybe the swing is just more in the center versus one big swing all the way up here to motivation, one big swing all the way up here to rest, or whatever you want to call it, and start to work in those novel things into the motivating time and start to work in rest into those times.
Did you just say that back to front? You want to work motivation into the times of rest and rest into the times of motivation?
I did. Yeah, but I think that's right. Yeah. That's what I meant, right? Because sometimes we are all or nothing of what this, I need to take a break from all of that those. And when I say motivation, I just mean perhaps we're feeling the pull or the push perhaps to do something, to make a change. And as we go through that can get mundane as well. That can get into a routine. Maybe not. I'm not saying that, but the longer timeline you do something, the more it just becomes maybe our normal day to day, and it can get overwhelming. It can get tiring. It can get boring. All of the above, none of the above. It just depends. And then we might overcorrect with a season of rest. I was thinking we're just I'm not doing any of that anymore. When really there's a happy medium, a balance that needs to be struck. It's just like when we go through stressful times, whether it's at work or in our personal life or anything like that, we can let that pressure and stress build and build as we work through something, or we can work to add in a little bit of rest here and there. It doesn't have to be, a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day. It can maybe be
sounds delightful.
5-minute breaks here and there. Yeah. But here and there, that just relieves a little bit of that stress. But it's figuring out what you need and when. It's part of the process.
And I think I guess this is almost like a little life hack for those of us that are on this journey. We spend so much time, or we're really encouraged, particularly early on, to notice the cravings and figure out what's causing them and what's the underlying emotion or the underlying feeling that's what's going on to cause this craving. Why do I want to escape it? Why do I want to drink right now? And so we spend a lot of time learning to acknowledge, recognize, dig into our feelings a little bit, specifically relating to why do we want to drink. But then that applies to every aspect of your life. So we have the benefit of we're training ourselves to listen to our bodies and go, oh, I'm really stressed out right now, or I'm feeling really frustrated right now. Okay, but why? What's going on that's causing this frustration, or what's going on? Or maybe it's I feel really disconnected. Maybe it's I'm not feeling anything right now. What's going on? And you can maybe dig into, okay, I'm just so busy that my brain's disconnected from my body. Okay, so what can I do? Do I need to ground myself? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to take a nap? We get the benefit of another positive side effect of reducing alcohol is as we are learning the skill of how to listen to our body and go, like you're saying before, trying to push through if you're starting to feel demotivated and your body's heading into this stage of rest, but you're trying to push through. We have the benefit now of going, okay, you know what? I'm going to listen to my body. My body's going, let's tone it down. Let's pare it back. Let's maybe not add another thing to my schedule, to my calendar.
Yeah.
And let's rest. Let's have a little hedgehog mode moment.
Yeah. And it is a learned type of thing that we do and that we need to do, because I'll just say that, I don't know, I didn't learn good coping skills growing up, I guess. Not growing up. Nobody taught me that, yes, I'm going to backtrack just so nobody gets offended, but that's not something that is really taught or that's prioritized. Some people do prioritize it. Some people do teach, are more knowledgeable about this type of thing, like coping skills and all that. Whereas a lot of times we're taught just to we're accomplishing things, whether it's in school or work, and we're just taught to go and you have to get these things done. And there's always more to do. And that's the most important thing when we sacrifice ourselves to do these things, which can be a good season to be in where we push and work and do those types of things. But again, it needs that balance. We have to rest. And you alluded to the fact that whenever we start, like you said, I start on this journey with reducing or removing alcohol from our life, that's some of the first things we need to learn is, okay, when I have this craving, what's my body telling me right now? And then what are different ways that I can cope with that better? I'm just repeating what you said there, but just emphasizing the fact that it's like we have to relearn some of these things or learn some of these things because it's been so long since we've used them, or we just never knew a good way to handle different things that come our way.
If you've never really learned or been exhibited, because we learn from our parents and the people around us how to human, right? And if you've never had productive examples given to you of how to navigate your emotions and your feelings, like we learn, our bodies will learn to do what's most effective. And if we've experienced that the most effective way to relax happens to be having a drink, then because we've not been shown any other way, then that's what our body's, okay, I know this works. I know this is how I'm going to relax every night after work. But it's not until you learn that there are other ways, there are more productive ways, there are healthier ways, there are even ways so that you don't get to the point of needing to relax every day after work. Like you said, take a 5-minute break every, what do they say, every 20 minutes? Are you supposed to take a little stretch break or something? I can't remember.
I like the Pomodoro method, which is 25-5.
Yeah.
So 25 minutes of doing something, 5 minutes of rest. And then I think every 2 hours, then 2 or 3 hours, you're supposed to take a longer break, 25 to 50 minutes, maybe 25 minutes.
Yeah. And that's designed to help you not get overworked and stressed out so that you don't feel like after work you need to like collapse into a heap and need big de-stressing tools. But yeah, my point being, we're drawn to do what our body knows will work from trial and error. And if our body knows that alcohol for a long time was the tool that we used to feel better in that moment, or to not feel, or to, what are all the reasons? I'm trying to think of all probably the 10 reasons I would drink was to like wind down, turn off, switch off. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's difficult too when you're, like you said, you come home from work and you're stressed and you finish up your day, whatever it is. It doesn't have to, I say work, but it can be anything. It's just a long day doing whatever. You come home and you learn that, oh, you know what? I had a beer and that relaxed me. And then I'm bringing this up because it was helpful for me to look back at that and see like where drinking might have progressed into different areas or into larger amounts, because like you said, my brain was like, hey, we get home from work, my neural pathway is telling me that we go and grab a beer, so if one is good, two might be better, and it is that day. And so then our brain writes that down, remembers it, and keeps that little factoid for tomorrow and repeat. And that's how it can be easy for those types of things to take hold in fairly innocent ways like that then can grow into something else. But it's being aware, being open to challenging what you're doing.
I love how our brains are simultaneously amazing and stupid at the same time. Yeah. Like our brains, we can build these new neural pathways. We're so capable of learning things, and our brains are just this amazing organ that can do all these amazing things, but also so stupid. Oh, one beer felt good, two will feel double good.
Well,
or one candy feels great, let's have 10.
yeah, but it's conserving energy, right? It takes a lot of work to make decisions and think. So all it does all day long, it's optimizing for the easiest way to do something and accomplish the goal that we want. So once it finds a way, especially an easy
It's
way like
nailed it.
that, yeah. So, oh, I could pick this up, or I could maybe talk to so-and-so at work and tell them that I can't say no to that project, or tell them like, I can't finish this today. I have to wait till tomorrow. Those types of things. Or just, oh, I'm going to come home from work and go for a walk. Yeah, I don't feel like doing that. But that's something that may be counterintuitive to the whole I want to rest thing, but it can help just get us into a better state of mind, getting some fresh air, getting some that type of thing. And we don't need to crash or veg out, go into hedgehog mode. Not that there's anything wrong with hedgehog mode.
Love hedgehog mode.
But those are more difficult things that our brain is like, or you can just do this.
Yeah.
And that works until it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I love that saying, it works until it doesn't. And our brain was, I don't know, doing the best it could with the tools it had at the time. That's what it knew would help us relax and help us feel better. So that's what we did, and that's what we needed, and that's what our bodies needed. I think, like you were mentioning before about how maybe when we're younger, what we're exhibited is achievement is good, busyness is good, awards are good, like doing good is good, being productive is good. But sometimes, and I think something, particularly our generation, I guess, we didn't perhaps get the permission to rest. Like we weren't told, yes, achieving is good and doing lots of things and being busy is good, but also you have permission to listen to your body and go, I need a day, a moment, 5 minutes to rest, to recover, to just breathe. We were never taught that skill, and I think that's a big thing. And sometimes we need someone else to tell us that we have permission to do that. I find sometimes it's hard to tell yourself, to give yourself permission to rest or to take a break. And yeah, sometimes you definitely do need someone to be like, no, you're going to sit down on the sofa or go for a walk. I literally had my boss, because I work from home 100% of the time, and probably a year ago I was starting to get really stressed out, and I was like, there's just so much work to do, oh my gosh. And he was like, when was the last time you went outside? And I was like, I don't know, why are you asking me this? And he was like, okay, we're going to stop this meeting, you're going to step away from your computer and you're going to go for a 10-minute walk just around the block, like just one lap around the block. That's all it takes. Just get your ass outside. And I needed that permission. I needed someone to be like, you've actually got to, being busy isn't productive right now. Like it's stopped. It's no longer productive. But yeah, having someone say, you have permission to take a break. It was huge.
Yeah. I had that I'm not going to say similar. I had a example of that recently where I got some bad news related to something a family member was going through. And right after I talked with them, I had my therapy appointment. And I got on with her. And first of all, it was hard just even getting through telling her what the new updates were. But then she was like, you need to rest today. You need to not do anything. You need to just be there, take care of yourself. And I'm like, no, but I have this meeting. I have so many meetings today. And I did. I had 5 meetings internally, community, clients, like all that. And I got off. I'm like, okay, I'll see what I can do. We cut it short. I'm like, I'll see about that. And then I got off and I was like looking at my calendar and I'm like, I could do this, I could do that. And I just started messaging people and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't meet today. Let's reschedule, let's do this, or let's talk another time. And it was the best possible thing I could do, because you can't, when things happen and you just try and push through whatever it is, whatever type of stress or whatever it is, you're not going to be there at your best anyway. And And that was the absolute best thing I could have ever done. I couldn't even imagine actually trying to keep with that schedule that day. It would have been a shit show.
You would have imploded.
Yeah.
I actually can't imagine how you would still be standing if you had kept doing what you normally do.
Yeah. And so I sat down on the couch and I watched How the Universe Works on, I think, there's a series out there. I was just watching how planets are formed and shit. I was just zoning out and chilling on the couch with the dog and full on hedgehog mode.
Beautiful.
That's not leaving my brain anytime soon, by the way, hedgehog mode.
Not leaving your brain anytime soon?
No.
Yeah. I don't know, we call it hedgehog mode, but then someone pointed out to me that hedgehog mode can also elicit ideas of you're spiky on the outside, don't touch me, I'm like in defensive mode. And I'm like, no, that's not what hedgehog mode is. So then I was like, maybe it needs to be like kitten mode, when kittens fall asleep and they like curl up in a ball and they're like soft and snuggly. And
I don't know. I've seen some stuff on Instagram with hedgehogs, little baby hedgehogs that are super fucking cute.
They're cute.
Yeah. That's actually what I thought of first, not the...
Yeah. I think of, I guess, a cartoon hedgehog. Like, I don't think of an actual hedgehog out in the yard.
You didn't say
do
porcupine
you guys have hedgehogs?
Huh?
Do you have hedgehogs in America?
I'm sure somewhere.
Like, we have them, like, just roaming around our backyard.
They're not prevalent here. I can look out back and I saw a herd of deer, like, stampeding my yard day. Occasionally there's, like, a flock of, like, wild turkeys for some reason, which was weird the first time I saw that. Lots of squirrels.
We don't have squirrels.
Chipmunks.
We don't have raccoons. There's an island with friendly raccoons, and I definitely want to go there and steal a raccoon. But yeah, hedgehogs are like our main roadkill in New Zealand.
Yeah,
they're everywhere. Yeah.
Deer here. We have all the deer crossing signs on the roads.
We have deer. They're more rural, more South Island. We don't have deer in the city. Funny that.
Ours is like, I'm in suburbs, so like I have a little patch of woods or
bush.
Yeah, but we call them woods or forest, whatever. But I call them woods out back that they live in. I just took the dog out yesterday, and right at the back of my yard, it's all kinds of leaves down and all trees, so it's all brown. And I'm sitting there waiting for her to go, and all of a sudden, this big deer just stands up. And then I look, and they were all just chilling in the back there, and there was like 5 of them just laying there. And my dog's 5 pounds, and she will chase after one if it gets in the yard too close.
Oh, because she thinks she can take it on. She thinks
she's the shit, but she's not.
Sorry, I took
of a
so
tangent that
far
I've tried to. It wouldn't be an episode if it weren't a tangent. It wasn't a tangent.
It wasn't a. What do they call it? Side quest. Side quest.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Giving yourself permission to rest, giving yourself permission to do anything, really. You don't even have to, it doesn't have to be rest. What is it that you need? And how can you do that? And it's not going to be something that you can just implement necessarily right away. We can come up with maybe some ridiculous things that we need.
I need to meditate for 2 hours every day, and that will make me serene and peaceful. Yeah. I don't have 2 hours to meditate every day. I also have ADHD, so trying to meditate is trying to sit still for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Every day is not going to work.
Yeah.
But I might be able to do 3 minutes. I might be able to do 60 seconds of breathing and work up to maybe 5 minutes. But also what I've discovered along this journey is I don't know all the things that I could do because I've never been exposed to them. And so going on Reframe and going on the community meetings and going in the forum, and you hear what other people are trying and doing, and you're like, I wonder if that would work. And you give it a go and you go, no, that didn't work. Or you give it a go and you go, wow, that was really cool. Yeah. So you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Get out there and investigate things.
And I always say, because I'm the worst at this, so I'm not being hypocritical. I'm calling myself out, and I'm not saying that this is easy because I'm the worst at this, is if you try something and you don't like it, that doesn't mean you're not going to like it. That doesn't mean that it's not going, that you can't find a way to incorporate that in or to change it up a little bit that makes sense for you, that works for you, that you like, whatever, and whatever it might be.
Affirmations is a great example of that. Affirmations feel super icky to me. I am beautiful and capable and bleh. But if you change it around to a bit more kind of badass, I probably can't say the affirmation that's coming to my head because then we'll get an R rating.
Yeah.
but drop some F-bombs in there and make it a bit more badass. And I can do that kind of affirmation, but like the universe is opening up for me doesn't resonate, doesn't work. But yeah, if initially I thought that's what affirmations were, they were all these kind of beautiful, lovely phrases.
Yeah. But it's like that have to versus get to type of thing. Like, you are beautiful, you are productive, you are these things. The universe might be opening up for you, but if it doesn't feel right, then that's not going to matter if you say that. How can you rephrase it? I'm not going to say reframe it, but rephrase it. Or it could be reframing depending on what we're talking about here, but changing it in a way that makes sense for you. I'm the same way. One of the first simple things that they have you do in the book Tiny Habits is the Maui habit, which is teaching you how to create a behavior that you want by anchoring it to something else you already do. And whether that's getting a cup of coffee, brushing my teeth, whatever, but it's when my feet hit the floor in the morning, getting up, I will say that it's going to be a wonderful day, and I'll smile. That didn't work for me. It's going to be because I'm the type of, okay, what if I don't believe it? Then you don't have to believe it to say it and have it help you. But if you're really not feeling it, one of the pieces of advice is I'm going to have a great day somehow, or I'm going to make this day as good as possible somehow. I'm going to show up today. But whatever it is, and I usually add some F-bombs in there as well. And instead of smile, I might shout out
fist
something.
Bump.
Yeah, fist bump myself, high five myself. Just
I can imagine your poor wife, and you like get out of bed and you're like, F yeah, and it's 5 a.m. and she's, oh my gosh, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. First of all, she's up before me every day. That doesn't happen. And with things like that we try, that's a good example too of I kept forgetting. So when my feet hit the floor, I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, go make coffee, sit down, and I'm like, shit, I forgot to do that. So it's picking a different time, trying a different time. Yeah. And that's what I did. It's okay. After I stand up after my coffee, I'm going to be like, all right, today's going to be a good day. Yeah. And that's not exactly what I say, but it's making it work for you. Everybody's talking about journaling. Like I do the journaling meeting. I talk about that a lot. We talked about gratitude journaling a week ago, and it wasn't about because, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Yeah, that can be okay, but that can get old quick. So what about I have as one of the ideas is like a gratitude jar I have sitting here, and I just write something on a piece of paper each day and throw it in there. My daughter came in the room one day. She's like, what's this? And I didn't answer her until I ripped off a piece of paper, put it down with a pen, and I'm like, write something down you're grateful for, put it in the jar. So she's like, I do this with something else. I'm like, oh, really? So that's cool that I'm trying to teach her some of these things that I'm learning now at 45, but she's picking up on some of them herself too. So it's good. Yeah. Like gratitude walks, go for a walk and don't put your headphones on, but just look for something to take a picture of that you're grateful for, that you enjoy, or whatever. It doesn't have to be the thing that someone suggests. You can make it your own.
There's, as you're talking about getting up in the morning and smiling, there's a rugby player in New Zealand, Damien McKenzie, great All Black, great Chiefs player. And he's one of our kickers. And he, like when he's lining up to kick a penalty or kick a goal, he gets prepared, he gets in position, and he looks at the goal, and then he has this smirk. And then he looks down at the ball and he kicks. And that's part of his whole like visualization. And if he physically makes his body smile and visualizes himself getting that ball over, he's more likely to get the goal, get the penalty. It's really cool. He's quite easy on the eye too, so it's cute watching him smile. But for those, if you're not a New Zealander or a rugby fan, check out Damien McKenzie and I guess see how it's done. And it might feel awkward smiling to yourself or giving yourself a high five or fist bump in the moment. He does that in front of crowds of 40,000 people. It's not about the 40,000 people. It's about him and about that moment. So.
Yeah. And those are like little mini celebrations to ourselves that help. Encode was the first word that came to my mind, but help make something that we want to do a little bit more solid, to make it stick a little bit more, because if we enjoy something we're doing, if we enjoy a change, we're going to want to do it again. That makes that's an obvious statement, but sometimes we feel like no pain, no gain, and I have to suck it up and just get through this. Or if I'm going to do yoga like everybody's talking about, I'm going to go to the hardest hot yoga class I can find versus, you know what, just get on the ground and stretch a little bit and then give yourself a high five afterward.
Video.
Yeah. And smile and say, you know what, that felt good afterwards. And
maybe you're in the middle of hedgehog mode and you're on the couch with a book, or I don't know, you're scrolling. Fuck it, let's be honest. We're scrolling when we're in hedgehog mode. You can smile to yourself and be like, I'm proud of myself for listening to my body and putting myself in hedgehog mode. You can fist pump yourself and be like, fuck yeah, I rested today. Yeah. Damn it, I dropped 2 F-bombs.
I think I might have slipped one in, but I think
that was 2 in quick succession. But yeah, you don't have to celebrate the big wins of yay, I kicked the ball over and got a try. It can be like a yay, I listened to my body and I rested, and acknowledging that season of your life. Or maybe it's not even rest, maybe it's like frustration or anger, or things are just shit. You can just be in a shitty phase in your life at a moment, a shitty season for hopefully not too long. But maybe you can acknowledge that and be like, yeah, I am in a shitty season and I'm just going to let it be shitty and let's ride this shittiness out, and sort of acknowledge that, but claim it and know that it's not going to be like this forever.
Yeah.
What's that saying? This too shall pass.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
the
true.
Shitty bits pass. The good bits pass.
Or bad. Yeah. I always say that because I say it to myself, like, good or bad, it will pass.
Yeah. Enjoy living in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be the most difficult thing, right? Is to allow ourselves to be in the moment. And we're gonna set a record for how many times we say hedgehog mode here, and be in the moment. And when you need that, don't sit there in hedgehog mode and tell everybody and say to yourself like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. No. You can acknowledge it when you need to, and obviously we're going to say that at some times, and we're going to push ourselves or beat ourselves up for certain things. But when we recognize that, when we think about things a little bit differently as these seasons of slow, gradual change, and it's not just all, and we talked about that before, because you can just look at the weather wherever you're at. It doesn't go from winter to spring and there's a clear cutoff, and it's days like this when it's 74 and hot out. And I remember back in high school, I was running track in April, turning the corner on the 300 hurdles, running directly into just full on hail pelting me in the face. And I was like, this is great. I'm not setting any records today.
Absolutely cannot imagine you running track or doing hurdles. You're a tall guy, so I don't know why I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine it.
I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'10".
That's tall for someone that's a little over 5 foot.
Yeah.
5'2". I'm shrinking.
I know. I just had my annual checkup, and I think last year when I did it, and they took my height, I always said I was 5'10", but I was like a hair under 5'11". Yeah. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm claiming that. This year, I was more, the measurement that I looked, I'm like, damn it, it's closer to 5'10". I have to start saying 5'10" again.
At one point last year, I was going through medical stuff, so I was going to the hospital quite a lot, and they do your height and weight every time you go in. And I swear I'd go in every couple of months, and I would lose a centimeter and gain a kilo. And I was like, that is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be getting shorter and wider. But it's okay. I think I've leveled out now.
There you go. Okay.
Maybe I've stopped shrinking.
Yeah. Let's hope.
I absolutely haven't. You'll see me again soon, and you'll be like, wow.
I just picture
keep getting smaller.
My little Italian grandma who just she's
getting smaller.
I don't even know if I don't think she was 5 foot. She couldn't have been. Maybe, yeah. It was right around there. But she kept, definitely losing. Although I was younger, so I was getting taller too. So maybe that was a little optical illusion.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. That's a fun optical illusion with our grandparents.
Yeah. So, what season are you in right now? How about that, putting you on the spot?
I am in a season of, how do I explain it? Idle mode, maybe? No, it's not rest because I'm like plodding along, I'm still going, I'm still doing the things, but I'm not currently thriving or pushing myself, or yeah, I'm not growing at the moment, but I'm not in hedgehog mode, like I'm not in hibernation. I'm just one foot in front of the other, which is okay. And I don't know what the next season will be. I don't know if this idle mode is preparing me to thrust me forward into
Yeah.
motivation mode, or if it's preparing me to wind right back into hibernation mode. I've just, like I've said on the podcast before, I've just gone through birthday season with my girls, which is high energy, lots happening. Had a big project with my day job it's wrapping up now. So that was a lot of energy. My husband's working out of town still, so solo parenting, lots of work, lots of activity, lots of things. So I've gone through that phase of lots of things, and now, yeah, I'm in idle. I think idle mode works. I think that's the right word for it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
where I'm heading. It's not like a season where I can be like, oh, I'm winding down for winter, or I'm.
Yeah.
Maybe I am. I don't know. It's literally outside winding down for winter out there. What about you? What season are you in?
More of a hedgehog, but I'm not in full like hedgehog rest mode. I'm coming through, I would say, I've been in like a season of, what would you call it? I'm in a season of grief with the loss in the family. But it's been, yeah, so far this year, it's been like a heavy focus on that and just getting through day to day. It's getting through the obligations I need to honor, obligations I need to get done, and honoring this grief too in this space that I need as well. I've been feeling, I don't know if re-engaging is a season that I'm going into. That's where my mind is. And I feel a little bit at the moment like a cartoon character that is about to go. I got my feet spinning, but I'm still staying, I'm in place.
Like Roadrunner? Meep meep.
Yeah. Yes. And I don't know if I'll be that fast. That's why I was going to say Roadrunner, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not a Roadrunner.
You
Not
just told us
anymore.
you ran track and did hurdles.
Yeah. And what's hilarious is I have a tattoo on my leg of the Roadrunner with his feet going like that I got because I ran, that was my marathon tattoo for running it was the Akron Roadrunner Marathon because I think the Roadrunner was the sponsor. It was some internet provider or whatever. So I took that and I got that afterwards because
Funny.
I just need anything I can use as an excuse to get a tattoo. But yes, but I also have a turtle right next to it. So I'm more of my turtle feet are spinning and I'm going to start moving forward. Because, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of my habits, a lot of my things that I like to do, that I want to do, that I like as part of my routine have had to take a back seat. So it's hard to then gain that traction. That's why our feet spin and we don't go anywhere. Essentially, I feel ready to move forward. It's just, yeah. So right now I'm in that point where I need to coach myself and practice what I know. And that is mostly start small. Let's just start small. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to walk. Am I going to walk outside? Hopefully it's probably because it's nice out, but just put on my shoes and go for a walk, open the door and go. But if I just put on my shoes and go to the end of the street and back, or if I do something else just for my body that isn't, that's okay too. But how can I show up for the things that I want to do is how I look at it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
And listen to your body. If walking to the end of the street feels good, do it. If walking around the neighborhood feels good, do it.
Walking
if just
5
staying in the
miles
living room
does, go for it.
Yeah. Staying in the living room and just doing some stretching feels good. Yeah. Listen to that body. It's important. And it's an awesome skill that we get on this journey.
Okay. I don't like personally always relying on that, but to get started with something, I think that's important. And when I say relying on that, I'm just saying, oh, I can just walk to the end of the street. That's all I have to do. But over time, the more I do that, the more I just show up, the more that I don't have to worry about only just showing up. Like motion creates more motion. So yeah, I think we've beat that up a little bit. Anything else you want to add on this topic?
No, I think we've covered some great points, some not great points, and some great tangents.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
As per.
I just think that, like you mentioned, that we mentioned the journey, we mentioned it's not linear, we mentioned all that, and just how can we show up for ourselves, allow ourselves to do what we need. And it's just building in some ways to look for it, like checking in with yourself, like every Sunday night, be like, what's my week ahead look like? How do I feel right now? How's the last week been? Like putting things in place, and again, it doesn't have to be that. Change it up, make it yours. But if we don't stop and ask ourselves what season we're in, it's going to be difficult to shift to another one. Season. Yeah, to change it.
It's like when your kids, like you're getting ready to leave the house and you know it's winter outside and the kids are about to walk out in shorts and a t-shirt and you're like, you've got to plan for the season, right? You can't plan to leave the house in shorts and a t-shirt and think that you're going to have a successful day because you're going to be cold and miserable and grumpy. You've got to do that for your own season with your own body as well. You've got to recognize what season you're in, acknowledge what season you're in, and work with it, plan for it.
Yep.
Yeah. First step is acknowledging or noticing what season you're in.
Absolutely. With that, what did we'll shift to wrapping this show up, and what did you learn this week?
What did I learn this week? I learned yesterday, and I don't know why this blew my mind, but you can go skiing in California. There's snow in California. And I know California's a big place. It's long. I get that. But this person was sharing that they're in Pasadena, which I know is in like LA area, which for me is like tropical pretty much. There's palm trees, and I've been to LA, I've been to Disneyland. And they were saying, oh yeah, it's like a 70-minute drive to go skiing. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were mountains so high in that part of California. So I've learned that if you live in LA, you can go skiing quite easily. There's snow at this time of year anyway. Yeah. I only assumed there would be snow like maybe up the northern parts of California.
Yeah, definitely. And even there, it's maybe not. It may be more inland because I'm thinking of San Francisco is more rain. I don't know if they get, I don't think they get cold. We were just talking about this with somebody the other day who lives there. I don't think they get snow.
Snow at sea level is uncommon.
Yeah, so it's all, is that what, I don't know. Yeah, okay. Is that where, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, inherently, yes.
Not like, of course it does happen, but
yeah.
Anyway, we're talking like we know what like weather does.
I know. All right, we're not gonna. We can move on. You learned that California has snow. We'll just leave it at that.
There's snow just out of LA. Amazing. Mind blown.
An hour plus, probably west.
It's not that far. Like I would have to drive 4 hours to find snow in New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'd have to go down to the volcanoes. Ruapehu, Ngātahoe, Tongariro. I'll type those out for you.
Yes, thank you. Can I use that for what I learned this week?
Yeah. I learned there are 3 volcanoes in New Zealand in the middle of the North Island.
I learned that Emma can be in snow in 4 hours.
You've also learned that Emma does not go to snow in 4 hours.
Yeah.
I think I've been to snow like twice in my life.
Yeah, I've been to snow twice in the last week. Been around snow. Yeah. What did I learn this week? I learned a lot of things. I was sitting there trying to remember all this shit I learned when I keep watching that damn How the Universe Works or whatever it's called. But no, I'm actually learning. I got a beginner's cross stitch. That's right. You want to talk about things that I never thought I'd be doing? Yeah, I'm gonna finish something my mom started. So I'm learning how to. I got a little kit that you just practice doing all the stitches on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to be learning this week. So I'm going to do this tonight. Start this tonight. I will see how it goes. But that's starting that to do a bigger project.
Yeah, learn the basics before you try and tackle a big project.
Yeah, and she does that. She used to do that all the time, and it was. I think she figured out it would take her like 4 years at the pace she was at to finish this one Star Wars cross stitch that she was doing for somebody. And it was like, because it's involved and it's fairly sizable too. Like the material, it's probably like a 24 by. It's not 24 by 36, but inches that is. But it's big. It's So I'm not going to just jump in on that. I'm going to practice on a couple of these other things first before I go and completely screw that up.
There's something like just such a juxtaposition about cross stitch and Star Wars. Like they just don't.
Oh yeah.
That absolutely blew my mind. That's hilarious.
She did that one up top there. I have one in my office here already that has 5 different characters in detail that she did. And it's fairly impressive. It looks like a picture. Yeah. So
that's so cool.
Let's start small first with that. So
let's start with a teddy bear or something.
Yeah, but that's also going to be my little unwinding time. If I'm watching a movie or a show on a weekend, maybe I'll just pull that out and work on that. We'll see. We'll see how I like it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode on seasons and tangents and hedgehogs and snow and weather. Yeah, thank you all for listening to another episode of the Reframeable podcast, brought to you by the Reframe app. Reframe is the #1 iOS and Android app to help you cut back or quit drinking alcohol. It uses neuroscience to reframe your relationship with alcohol and unlock the healthiest, happiest you. If you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe and share with those that you feel may benefit from it. And if you have a topic that you'd like us to cover on the podcast, send an email to podcast@reframeapp.com and let us know. I want to thank you again for listening, and be sure to come back again for another episode. Have a great day.
Bye, friends.